Week 6, we are moving into alignment this week. So thank you so much for joining. I'm Melissa from melissabornyoga.com, and hopefully you have blocks for this week. We will be using 2 blocks. If you forgot to get them, no worries. Just make sure you have a chair or something nearby that you can prop your hands onto. But this week, and actually this whole month, is going to focus a lot on alignment. And before we jump into the physical practice, I want to talk really quickly about why this is probably the most important aspect of yoga. And I know we focused on breath first, and all last month I was like, this is the most important aspect. And in a way, it is, because if we're not breathing, how can we connect to our bodies? And the whole purpose of yoga, or what could be one of the main purposes of yoga, is really, can we connect to ourselves and can we feel into our bodies? And the breath is needed for that. So we started there, and not to overwhelm with cues and alignment and what should be where. Really, it doesn't matter. But what alignment is great for is to pull our attention and our awareness back into our bodies. So I didn't want to start with alignment, because if you're brand new to yoga, I don't want you to overthink of where parts should be. And that's still true as we move through the alignment portion. Don't worry about where your parts should be, just as long as you can feel into your body. This is really the main thing. And so what this does is, a lot of us live our energy, it might feel very high, or if we're really depressed, it might feel very low. But a lot of us live in a state of anxiety and stress and overwhelm. And so we're not actually in our bodies. Our energy is up out of our body, thinking about the future and the stress and the world and all of this stuff. And we don't really connect with our bodies. However, when we can pull our awareness back into our body, then we get to that more grounded, centered place, right? And we start to feel that inner peace. And we can notice the stress of the world and we can respond to it, but without the anxiety. So that's my goal here, is that we move into our bodies, that we feel that really deep connection, that grounded sensation. And if you haven't ever felt grounded, this is the perfect place to be. Perfect place to learn how to feel grounded in your own body, more stable in your own body. And another bonus of working on alignment, it will actually keep your yoga practice a lot healthier on an anatomical level, because when we do put our parts in proper alignment, then we prevent injuries, we can feel a little bit better in our bodies, we build strength in a really sweet way, and all around it's just really great. So alignment is my favorite thing to focus on. So I'm really excited for this month. But 2 things to keep in mind: don't stress about needing to remember all of the cues. The cues are just indications to pull you more into your body, just invitations to be, oh, I could notice where my leg is here. Oh, I could notice where my arm is here. And then we just feel. And over time and repetition, you'll start to remember the cues and the alignment a little bit better. But for now, just use them as invitations of where to feel different things in your body. And then the second thing, the more that we're bringing our awareness into our body, then we're in our body and our grounding is already starting to take place. So we're just using the alignment as a way to get in touch with our own bodies better, be grounded, be centered, be here and right now, without all the anxiety. So we're just kind of letting that go through our yoga practice. So let's get moving. All right, so both blocks going up towards the front of your mat, either on the medium setting or the high. If you've got some tight hamstrings, you might want to go for high. And first thing, we're just going to work on tadasana, which is our basic mountain pose. Can we be strong and sturdy like a mountain? And this pose is very important, as you'll see throughout the month. It's going to influence every other pose, and not only that, but every moment of your life. And even if you're up for it, I would invite you to start to notice this pose as you're going through other parts of your day, maybe when you're cleaning, doing dishes, eating, driving, whatever it is you do. Even picking up the kids and noticing our posture can be really helpful to help with the low back or anywhere you're starting to feel pain. So very first week, we worked on our feet and our toes pressing down. We're going to do that again by bringing our feet right underneath the hips. And what that really means, because your hips could be pretty thin, they could be pretty wide. So what that really means is, where is your hip bone? This little indentation, and can you put your foot right underneath that hip bone? So usually it tracks right down your thigh and your knee, and that's where you're going to try to place your feet. From there, toes pick up, spread them wide, and replant them down. Now feel into that and notice if automatically your knees start to lock. Can you soften them? Now breathe. You might be thinking, when are we getting to the yoga? We're there. This class will be more hatha style. And what that means is we're setting up and we're really feeling into the pose and into the body versus the flow, flow, flow. And once we get our alignment down in a few poses, then of course we'll flow. But feeling into the feet, softening the knees a little bit, so just not locking out the knees, soften them. And then start to notice, are you pouring more weight into the fronts of your feet or into the backs? And see if you can bring it pretty even between the fronts of your feet and the heels. And see how that feels. Now grip the mat with your toes, or the carpet or the floor, whatever you're on. Check your knees are still a little bit soft. Good. And now your hips are probably about over your knees and your ankles. And if not, see if you can shift. So maybe you're a little bit too far forward or back. Just kind of bring hips over your ankles. So this is our basics of tadasana, or mountain pose. And from there, going to start noticing first our core. And the way the core muscles work, it's kind of like a built-in corset. We have our six-pack that everyone knows about, but underneath that is the transverse abdominis that kind of runs like this. And you might hear yoga teachers mention a cinching in of the waist or a squeezing in of the waist. And what we're doing is we're kind of squeezing that corset. There'll be another video that goes in more detail for that, so don't worry right now. But for now, can you draw your belly button a little bit to your spine and try to lift up? Perfect. And from there, did your chest and rib cage pop out? Again, you squeeze your ribs back in. Good. Now we don't need to remember this entire detail the whole time. All we're doing is getting that core support so our low back can relax. So we would squeeze through the core. This allows a little bit of length in the lower back. And then from that, our heart lifts. Good. And then naturally, once we've engaged through the core, start to lift the heart, your shoulders should start to automatically fall right above your hip and your ankle. So now you start to notice this line between our shoulder, hip, and ankle. So this is our nice natural mountain pose. Palms will naturally face forward in this posture. Well, not naturally, they might do whatever they want, but what we're going for is eventually a natural rotation for the shoulder to be open and palms forward. The biggest thing with Tadasana is, due to our heavy leaning forward culture, whether it's your work, you're lifting up your kids, you're looking at your phone, you are just, maybe you are in this posture for whatever reason, we naturally will hold this position. And so to retrain, we're going to keep opening up through the chest, keep squeezing in that core, feeling through the feet. Take a really deep breath in where you are. Deep breath out, open mouth, like a sigh. We learned last week specifically that it really clears out stress from the body. Let's do one more. Full breath in through the nose. Deep breath out. Good. And then the last part that we add on is noticing if our ears are over our shoulders. Oftentimes when we're talking about reaching forward or hunching forward or just our daily life or phone scrolling, we have our head come forward. And from what I've learned is, every inch that your head is forward puts an extra 10 pounds of pressure on your spine. So no wonder that we have shoulder tension and back problems, right? So we're going to try to bring our chin back, ears over shoulders. Now you don't have to walk around super straight all the time, but just when we're in yoga and when you can bring your attention to it, just think, are my ears, shoulders, and hips aligned? Am I pressing through my feet? And that'll give you a pretty good judge. So this is the posture we're going to keep coming back to, and today we're going to find it in all the other postures, or a few other postures. Take 2 more breaths, just feeling your mountain pose. Feel your feet. See if you can bring your ears over your shoulders, over your hips. Take a full breath in. On the breath out, reminder, cinch that waist or squeeze the belly button to the core, to your spine. Squeeze the core in. One more breath in. And breath out. Good. Now let's flow a few times, coming back to this mountain pose. Up towards the top of your mat near your blocks. You're going to use an inhale. Reach your arms out wide to the side. So we have our mountain pose. We're reaching our arms wide, palms face up. And feel what you feel going on in your arms, your wrists, your shoulders. Take a breath in, look up. Now exhale, bring your hands back through heart center. And through that motion, can you keep that tall spine with ears essentially over shoulders? Let's try again. Inhale, reach your arms wide as you can. This should start to stretch out the muscles in the forearm and hands. Inhale, reach up, and then look up. So we're lifting and looking up and back, up towards those thumbs. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good. Before we build on too much, you can keep doing this actually a couple more times. Inhaling, reach up, and I'll just explain. Or if you want to watch, you can. Inhale, let's do one more together first. Inhale, reach up, look up. Notice what you feel going on in your neck. Exhale, hands to heart. Perfect. So a big reason we use the breath, the inhale is going to lengthen through the spine. And what this does is it creates that space so that we can look up safely. Exhale, hands to heart center. If we have the rounded posture, or we're not really focused on bringing our head back, if I were to just bring my head back, that doesn't feel good. I was trying to exaggerate, but it really doesn't feel good. So when we have this compression, we can't really lift our head back. But if we drop our shoulders, open up around the collarbones, lift up through the chest, then naturally the neck can go back without any pain, without any kinks, without any blockages. So this is really why that tall spine and that lift through the chest is so important, so that you can drop your head back without that pain. Inhale, try again. Inhale, reach up, lengthen through the heart, then allow the head to go back. Exhale, forward. So always using that breath to get that length and keeping ears over shoulders until you need to drop your head back. Perfect. This time we're going to fold forward. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up. Notice what happens in your hips and your legs as you fold forward. Where do you feel whatever's going on? Now, feet still hip width apart for this. We're going to breathe in, find that halfway lift. We've worked on this before in previous classes. So our heart is really pulling forward and our butt bones pull back. So even here, can we find a little bit of that mountain pose or tadasana in our halfway lift? Can you line your ears and your shoulders up along with your hips? I have no idea what this looks like, but maybe they're aligned. Heart pulls forward. Butt bones, imagine there's little strings pulling straight back. And then what's going on in your feet? Can you bring the weight between your feet pretty even? Take another breath in, lengthen through the heart, straight forward, crown of your head forward. Your eyes can look a little bit forward, but we're not really lifting up. We're getting that nice tall tadasana posture even through the neck. Take one more breath in. Breath out. Inhale, press through your feet, squeeze your abdominals. Bend your knees a little if you need to, and come all the way back up to standing. Arms reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Perfect. I want to workshop a tiny bit about the hips, and then we'll go through quite a few poses. So if you think of your forward folds, a lot of people are just like, oh, I'm going to fold forward. And they just kind of roll forward or do whatever feels good, which isn't necessarily bad. If it feels good, it's probably okay. However, if we're going to build a sustainable yoga practice, it can be really good to look at the anatomy in the hips and try to get that forward fold in a really healthy alignment from the start. So really, when we're folding forward, it's not really a spine movement. It's more of a hip joint movement. So if we think of our leg bone, comes straight up. There's a ball joint in there that fits into the pelvis. So when we're talking about forward folding, even if it's in a downward dog or a chair pose or a typical forward fold, we're not going to think so much it coming from the spine as can we tilt our pelvis around this thigh bone. So what that looks like then is we have our tall mountain pose, and instead of rounding or folding from the spine, we keep the length and then we just shift our butt bones back, and it's like our pelvis tilts around that ball joint in the thigh. So our forward fold then just becomes this hinge action. Hinge forward, hinge up. Does that make sense? You can let me know in the comments if not. Take another deep breath in, feel through your feet. Put your hands on your waist. Take another deep breath in. Exhale, belly to the spine. So we're getting that corset action again to protect the low back. And we're going to just hinge forward from the hips, hands to blocks. Perfect. Take another breath in, find your halfway lift. This helps us remember, oh yeah, that length stays in the spine so that the bend can just come from the hip joint. So again, our hips are really what's doing the action. Can you think about from the hips, can you fold a little bit more? And maybe you can adjust your blocks or even bring your hands to the floor. From there, find your halfway lift again. Heart forward. Should be feeling it in your hamstrings. Exhale, fold down. Relax the back of your neck. So this is when it starts to look as if the bend might come through the back, but really the bend is just in that hip joint and we're relaxing the back muscles as much as possible. When we're in our halfway lift, we lengthen, strengthen, and stretch them. When we fold, we relax through the back of the neck, the back muscles, all the way along the spine. So halfway lift. Now bend your knees. Think about that folding action in the hips, and from there, hinge yourself straight up. Press through the feet. Perfect. It's a little bit awkward to go through. We're going to do it one more time, and then we'll go through some other poses and try to find these shapes. Feet pressed down. Ears over shoulders over hips. Breath in, reach up. Breath out, fold from the hip joint. We're sticking our butt bones out. Our spine is nice and tall and strong, and we just shift right at that hip joint, hands to our blocks. From there, find your halfway lift, heart pulls forward. Keep that length, and then again, see if there's any more room, and if there's not, just stay where you are, to fold a little bit deeper from the hip socket, and then relaxing the upper back, mid back, low back, back of your neck, everything down, even around your shoulders. And we'll stay here for a few breaths. If you need another sigh or a deep breath out, always take it when you need. And breathe in, find your halfway lift. Bend your knees as much as you need to plant your hands on the floor. Fingers spread wide. Step back to a high push-up position. So what this means is our toes are towards the back of the mat. Hands spread wide, and from here, we're going to find that tadasana pose again. If you need to lower your knees, lower your knees. We're squeezing through our core, seeing if we can line up our ears with our shoulders, with our hips, and from there, it might angle down to your heels. Take a deep, deep, deep breath in. Exhale, can you find that hip joint for a fold position to downward dog? And then again, relaxing through the back of the neck, allow the heels to reach to the ground, and bring that awareness into your hip joint. Where can you feel that fold motion? So instead of focusing too much on the shoulders or anything else, can you feel your butt bones go up? Can you feel the relationship between your thigh bones and your waist? Can you breathe while doing all of this? Take 2 more breaths. Perfect. Now inhale, lift your heels, squeeze through the belly button, look forward, and take a big step forward again. You can bring your blocks back, hands underneath your shoulders, breathe in, find a halfway lift. Now we're back to that tadasana in our upper spine, our feet pressed down. On your exhale, from the hip joint, can you fold a little bit more forward? And when your hamstrings are like, thank you, that's enough, relaxing through the low, mid, upper back, and back of neck. Then one more time, halfway lift. Keep that length, standing all the way up. Reach your arms to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart. And mountain pose is really fantastic too. If you ever need a mood lift, just inhale, reach your arms up. And that stretching action and the opening action helps our brain get into a little bit more confident place, which is a nice little hack. All right, now let's look at our high push-up position while we're standing. We've got our feet pressing down, feet hip width apart again. And our hands are going to be right underneath our shoulders. And even this, you might start to notice is it's a bit of a workout on the forearms, just pulling your fingers up. So just stick with it as long as you can. Shake out your arms when needed. But when we're looking at our high push-up, this is important because a lot of times if we're going to be doing a lot of chaturangas, we might get into a bad habit and then do an overuse or overstrain or end up something like this. So we have that openness, just like mountain pose. Shoulders are wide, arms right in front. Feel how this feels as you integrate your shoulders along your spine. So push your arms forward. Now pull them back from the shoulders. Can you feel that motion? So when we're in high push-up, a tendency is to get a little bit of rounded because it's a hard pose. So we try to get out of it and we try to just push. But can you keep your collarbones wide and integrate your shoulder blades along your spine? This is what we're going to look for in our next high push-up. Shake out your arms, give them a break. Take a really deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then one more time, arms straight out in front of you. Check, shoulder blades are wide, collarbones are wide, shoulder blades integrated along the spine. Spread your fingers wide. Whew, it's firing up my forearms. Maybe I'm sore from the chainsaw. We're planting an orchard and I tried a chainsaw for one time and it was very intense on my arms. One more deep breath in. Deep breath out. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Hands can be on blocks, or if you want to move them out of the way, hands down, bend your knees as much as you need to make that happen. Breathe and find your halfway lift. So we're pulling our heart forward. This gives us another opportunity to come back to check thigh bones are straight, and from there we bend at the hips. From there, we relax the whole back down. One more time, breathe in, halfway lift. Keep the length. Now we plant our palms and get to practice that high push-up. So fingers spread wide. Step your feet to the back of the mat. And should have put my hair all the way up. It's all over the place. And check again. Are we pushing too much? Is it a little bit strange? Or can we widen through the collarbones and integrate shoulders along the back? Heart forward. And now for this one, ears might be a little bit in line with shoulders or a little bit back or a little bit forward. It's okay if it's a bit different. Now you might start to feel it through the core a little bit more now that we've pressed our, now that we've integrated our shoulders along the spine. It's hard for me, so I was losing my train of thought. So when we press too much through the shoulders, sometimes we take it a little bit out of the core, and there's certain times when we will do that in certain drills or certain poses. But for your traditional plank, you really want to draw your shoulder blades along your spine, and that allows the core, specifically the six-pack muscles for this one, will kick in. And we might feel it as we shift down to chaturanga, which is what we'll work on next week. Take another deep breath in. Deep breath out. Can you feel it in your core? Can you press through your heels as much as you pull straight forward through your heart? Take one more deep breath in. Breathe out. Bend your knees. Butt bones up. Feel that hip flexion as you send your butt bones up. And then relaxing through the back of the neck, downward dog. Breathe in. Breathe out. Left foot presses down. Use your inhale to straighten your right leg straight up behind you. And for this one, let's open up the right hip. Bend the knee. Get a little side body stretch. We've practiced last week. Or not last week, but last month. Take another deep breath in. On your exhale, carry your knees to your nose. So this is when we would round our spine, and instead of the six-pack muscles, this is more that transverse abdominis. Plant your foot between your hands. Lower the back knee to the floor. Take a breath in. Lift through the heart. Breathe out. Sink into that hip. So now we're stretching through the left. And even here, can we find a little bit of that mountain pose? So maybe we bring our blocks back so we have room to draw our shoulders back and lift our head up. So instead of getting that rounded posture, where can we find that uplifted posture through the heart and the head? So it doesn't always have to look like a perfect mountain pose, but where can we bring that element of elongation and length through the spine? Take one more really deep breath in. And as you exhale, shifting your butt back, now focusing on the right hip. Can you feel that flexion in the hip joint? Our right bone goes back, and we're going to try to bend over that front leg. Blocks wherever you need. Draw these toes towards your face. And find a halfway lift. Get a little length in the spine. And as you see and feel in your body, it won't always be a perfect mountain pose, but there's those little elements you can find. Inhale, find that lift. Where can it feel a little bit like mountain pose in the upper body? Exhale, fold. Where can it feel like that forward fold again, where we're moving from the hip? And then breathe most of all. Breathe and feel whatever you feel. It's a pretty intense class for beginner series. We're doing a lot of cues and a lot of really feeling into the body. Replant the right foot down. Hands around the front foot. Now, tuck the back toe, lift the back knee. Squeeze the back leg, start to squeeze your core. Step back to your high push-up. And again, notice if you're pressing and rounding, or can you draw your heart forward and integrate your shoulders along your spine? That should bring it into the core. Exhale, downward dog. The right foot stays planted this time. Use a breath in to float the left leg high. Don't worry about squaring the hip. Just lift the leg as high as it wants to go. On your next breath out, bend your knee, open up your hip. Now the right heel can sink towards the floor, bend in the right knee. Breathe in, stay where you are, lift the left knee higher. Exhale, left knee to your nose. Round through your spine. Again, this is a different core muscle, so you can round and press through your arms. Step your left foot as high up as it goes, and if it doesn't go all the way, just grab onto it, help guide it. Lower your back knee down. Grab your blocks. Breathe in, lengthen up over that front leg. Find a little bit of tadasana or mountain pose. Exhale, soften and relax into the right front thigh. And then stay and breathe. The more we can come into our breath while we're feeling into the body, the more we can release. Essentially, stuck emotions might come up. That's why we're here, is to feel better. That's my main purpose, is to help people release stuck emotions in their body so they get to that place of inner peace. I want to say faster, but it doesn't always have to be fast. Whenever you're ready to go, you'll go. Take another breath in and another breath out. Sometimes it can be too much and we need to get to the place of inner peace faster. Let's actually shift to another muscle group. So inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, shift your left hip back and start to notice that flexion point now in the left hip. So again, we're going to lengthen our spine and then fold. Might not even go down far. It's a hard stretch to do, depending on what's going on with your hamstrings. Toes pull towards your face, heart lifts, and then fold over that leg. And from there, remember, we're not trying to bring the bend into our spine. However, we bend from the hip, and once that's enough stretch, we relax through the upper back, and wherever it goes, it goes. So like I was saying, whenever we're breathing into a muscle or we're exploring or feeling into a new muscle, it can and will bring up different stored emotions. And this is how we find that peaceful feeling, because we're breathing and moving it out of our bodies. However, sometimes we need a little help with that. And if you do need help shifting it a little bit quicker, then that's what the one-on-one appointments are for through energy work. We just get it up and out of your body or set new beliefs, which can be super fun. Take 2 more breaths. Breathe out. Soften around the shoulders. Replant your left foot. Good. Box up towards the front of the mat again. Hands flat. Tuck your back toe. Press through your palms. Squeeze your abdominals. Shift back, downward dog. Feet hip width apart. Inhale, lift your heels. Squeeze your leg muscles. Draw your belly button to your spine. Round all the way forward. Different than the high push-up we just learned. We're going to keep rounding all the way to upward dog. So knees can hit down for a moment, tops of your feet press, and then our palms press. Our shoulders start to integrate along the spine. And what that means is your shoulder blade squeezes the spine, heart forward, head up. And even here, where can we find mountain pose? Can we draw our shoulders open, lift our heart and the head? Breathe, 2 breaths. Take another deep breath in. Deep breath out. This feels super good. Breathe in. Exhale, lower everything down. Okay, we were going to do something with the blocks, but not right now. Move them out of the way. Check the tops of your feet, press down pretty firm. Hands underneath your shoulders. Actually, scoot them back. So instead of under your shoulders, scoot them back a few inches. Heart forward. Where can we find mountain pose here? Instead of shoulders rounded, can we open them? Can we press solid through the feet? Draw the belly to the spine so that we're nice and stable. We have our hips and our ankles, of course, in line. And our shoulders, we're going to do a little back bend. But the same thing with the neck. If we're compressed and we try to bend back, it's not going to do much, or it might not feel good. But can we lengthen, breathe in, and then have room to go back? So try that one more. Press through your feet, inhale, lengthen your heart forward. Even if it barely moves, that's okay. Exhale, curl up. Good. Now stay here. This is our baby cobra. Breathe. Maybe tuck your chin. Breathe. Now press strong through your palms. Tuck your toes. Press up onto your hands and knees. Take a couple cat and cows. Hands underneath your shoulders. The inhale is going to lift the head, the butt bones up. Exhale, round. However feels good on the spine. Breath in, lifts up. Breath out, round. One more time, inhale, lifts up. Exhale, sit your butt back towards your heels, untuck your toes, child's pose. Knees together can be really kind to your low back, but knees apart with your belly down between your legs is also really good for your hips, and that brings it more into that forward fold position on your hips. Both are folds, but this one will be a bit deeper. So whichever one your body prefers, or even if you want your butt propped up on a block or a pillow underneath, whatever you need to do so that you can have a moment for a complete rest. And coming back to the breath, what you feel going on in the body. Can you relax around the jaw? Can you soften the space between your eyebrows, your shoulders? Can you forget everything we just talked about, alignment? And for this pose, just sink in wherever it feels the best. Take 2 more breaths. And then coming on up. Have a seat. And let's bring soles of the feet together, knees fan wide. So even in the passive poses or the ending poses, alignment can be good to set up, especially for the knee joints. But for these ones, the beginning ones, the hatha poses, where we're standing, we're moving, we're feeling, we're working, these are to build an internal fire, rev us up. And now these ones are more cooling, to draw us back down into that place of peace, to where we just are super still and we rest. So like everything is a cycle, so is our practice. Each practice will cycle through, and now we're to the rest. So find a little bit of length in the spine, and then exhale, shift forward, sinking into it wherever feels most comfortable. Even if you want to stack your blocks and rest your head on them. Whatever is best. There is not a right or wrong. And remembering, especially as we start to move more specifically through alignment this month, when we're really targeting certain muscle groups or areas of the body where we do store tension. For me, this is why we're here, to get that tension up and out so that we can come into that place of inner peace, right? But it can be uncomfortable. So remember, I am here with you. You can use the comment section. You can reach out to me if something comes up. Feel free to let me know. So you are not alone when these thoughts and emotions come up. The reason I got into energy work in the first place was because yoga brought up so much stuff and too much at once, to be honest. I didn't know what to do with it, but now I do. And so when we breathe into it and we focus on it, and what I'm teaching in this yoga series is so that you can process it on your own, so that it shifts out easier. But if you ever need more help, for sure, I'm here. The more we come into our breath and take mindful exhales, it really does allow it to shift out on its own. And you again relax through the jaw. Relax around the shoulders. One more breath out. Perfect. And we'll do a quick twist. So use your hands for guidance, knees up. And feet can be wide. You can grab onto underneath, or if you want to bring your feet in. One arm right around your knees, if it works. You're going to breathe in, lift up tall. Remember, if this doesn't work, you can even have one leg out. Just grab onto the back of one thigh. That works perfect too. You'll lift up through your chest, spin around to the back. So just getting a gentle twist in the spine. And same thing we talked about with the neck and looking back. Can't really twist easy if we're all hunched over. So we're getting that length and then using that room to twist. And then coming around to the other side, you can grab both knees or extend your left leg out, right leg out a bit. Just grab somewhere around the thigh and twist to the back. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, twist. Perfect. Back around center. And Shavasana. So feet press. Grab onto the backs of your thighs. A little bit of core support as you go down. Perfect. Rock your butt side to side. Give your back a moment to release. Done a lot of up downs. Lengthen, strengthens. And if you want to have your feet wide with your knees tapped together, this is really gentle on the low back. Otherwise, feet extend long, out at an angle. And even here, can we find a little bit of that mountain pose alignment? So can we lift through the shoulders? And by that, I mean lengthen back on your mat and open the palms face up. And then relaxing all the way down. You can even lift your arms up just for a moment to feel a little bit of that tension. And then on an exhale, drop them down. Take 3 more breaths to settle down wherever you need. And this is our time to allow the body to integrate what we just did. So any tension that's left over that didn't get dismissed through a breath, the body now has time to go through, find it, and let it drop out as we relax everything super heavy. Couple more breaths. Be as still as you can. Allowing your body to rest as much as you can right now. Relaxing through the shoulders, relaxing around the hips and the feet. And if you want to stay a little longer, if you have time, absolutely stay a little longer. Otherwise, when you're ready, starting to wiggle your toes a little, your fingers. So we bring movement back into the body really slowly. Maybe take a full body stretch, point your toes, stretch up through your arms. And then rolling onto one side with your palm pressing down. So this is to signify that relationship to earth. You're grounding and you're connected. It's not just you out here, you are supported. This is like a reminder of that support. Pressing up to a seat through that arm. Sitting up nice and tall. Again, where can we find actually both tadasana and a forward fold here? So we're up nice and tall through the spine, and can we feel that hip flexion in the hips, that forward flexion? So instead of just rounding and having to work to sit up, can we use our pelvis to tilt back over the thigh bones for that seat? And if it's not easy to do that, you can always roll a blanket up whenever we sit. But no, over time, it will get easier to get that pelvis tilt as we start to open up around the low back and the muscles and the fascia. Breathe, palms together. Or you take a moment just for yourself to notice, honor, and appreciate all that you are. And then we do the exact same. Notice, honor, and appreciate each other. I notice you, honor, and appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And next week, we will go over chaturanga, which is our vinyasa, low push-up pose. That'll be a lot of fun. And then from there, we'll keep building alignment all month. And then in March, our third month, we'll be working more on strength building, inner strength as well as physical strength. That'll be a lot of fun. So thanks for joining. Make sure you subscribe, like this video if you liked it. It actually helps out my channel a lot. And then feel free to send this video and share it with someone who may want to get started with yoga. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week.